The Middle East, a region so often defined by its turmoil, and in 2024, that turmoil reached a fever pitch. Israel, facing constant threats from militant groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, launched a series of high-profile operations. Operations that targeted and eliminated key figures within these organizations. These weren't just isolated incidents. These were calculated strikes, meticulously planned and executed, aimed at dismantling the leadership structures that have directed violence against Israel for years. Tonight, we take a closer look at the individuals targeted, the impact their deaths have had, and what it means for the future of the region. These are the faces of conflict, men who have shaped the destinies of nations and who, in death, have left a void that will be difficult to fill. But who were they? What motivated them? And what will their legacies be? In 2024, Israel conducted several high-profile operations targeting key leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah. Here are the significant figures who were killed. Ismail Haniyeh, a name synonymous with Hamas for decades. He wasn't just a figurehead, he was a powerful force within the organization, a man who understood the complexities of Palestinian politics and the bitter rivalry with Israel. For years, Haniyeh walked a tightrope. He knew the world was watching, condemning Hamas's tactics, the rockets fired indiscriminately into Israel. But he also knew that for many Palestinians, Hamas, for all its flaws, represented resistance against occupation. Then, on July 31, 2024, it all came to an end. A bomb ripped through a building in Tehran, Iran. Haniyeh, there on a diplomatic visit, was killed instantly. The world was shocked. Who was behind the attack? And what did it mean for the future of Hamas? With Haniyeh gone, the mantle of leadership fell to Yahya Sinwar. Sinwar was a different breed. A military commander with a reputation for ruthlessness, he was seen by many as a pragmatist, a man who understood the need for negotiation even as he prepared for war. Sinwar's time at the helm was marked by a tense calm. Was this a sign of weakness? Or was Sinwar playing a deeper game, biding his time, consolidating power? Whatever his strategy, it was cut short. In October 2024, Israeli special forces tracked Sinwar to a safe house. A firefight ensued. When the dust settled, Sinwar was dead. On the other side of the conflict, another leader met his end. Fuad Shukr, a name whispered in hushed tones, even within Hezbollah. He was the organization's military mastermind, the architect of its strategies, the man who trained generations of fighters. Shukr was a ghost, a phantom who operated in the shadows. His face was rarely seen, his voice rarely heard. But his impact was undeniable. He was the one who transformed Hezbollah from a guerrilla group into a formidable fighting force. On July 30, 2024, an Israeli airstrike targeted a residential building in southern Beirut. The blast was deafening, the building reduced to rubble. Among the dead, Fuad Shukr. Chapter 4. Ibrahim Aqil, leader of the elite. Ibrahim Aqil, commander of Hezbollah's elite, Radwan unit. These were the organization's best, handpicked for their skill, their loyalty, their willingness to die for the cause. And Aqil was their leader, a man who inspired both fear and fanaticism. He had been trained in Iran, schooled in the art of asymmetric warfare. He was a master of disguise, blending into crowds, always one step ahead. He was a ghost, much like Shukr, but his presence was felt on the battlefield. On September 20, 2024, an Israeli drone strike in Beirut ended Aqil's reign. Hezbollah mourned the loss of its most effective commander. Chapter 5. Hassan Nasrallah, the face of Hezbollah. Hassan Nasrallah, the face of Hezbollah, the man who for decades had been a thorn in Israel's side. He was a charismatic leader, a gifted orator who could rouse his followers with fiery speeches. But Nasrallah was also a pragmatist. He knew the limits of Hezbollah's power. He understood the need for negotiation, even as he vowed to destroy Israel. He was a complex figure, a man of contradictions. On September 28, 2024, an Israeli airstrike targeted a location in a southern suburb of Beirut. The target, Hassan Nasrallah. The strike was precise, deadly. The man who had led Hezbollah for decades was gone. Chapter 6. Hashem Safiuddin, the successor, cut down. With Nasrallah dead, Hezbollah was reeling. The organization turned to his likely successor, Hashem Safiuddin, a man who had long been a part of Hezbollah's inner circle. Safiuddin was seen as a hardliner. He had risen through the ranks, proving his loyalty time and again. He was a ruthless and cunning operator, a man who would not hesitate to use violence to achieve his goals. He was a true believer, committed to the destruction of Israel. But Safiuddin's time at the helm was short-lived. On October 8, 2024, just days after Nasrallah's death, he too was killed in a confrontation with Israeli forces. The details remain shrouded in secrecy, but his death sent shockwaves through the region. Chapter 7. A region in the balance. The deaths of these men, leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah, sent shockwaves through the Middle East. The balance of power, always precarious, seemed to shift. But in which direction? Some whispered of peace, of a chance for new leadership on both sides to forge a different path. Others feared retaliation, a wave of violence that would engulf the region. The answers, as always, were shrouded in uncertainty. One thing was clear: the Middle East had entered a new chapter. What that chapter would hold, no one could say for sure. But the events of 2024, the targeted killings of these leaders, would cast a long shadow on the years to come. Outro, the future of the Middle East. These operations have significantly impacted the leadership structures of both Hamas and Hezbollah. The organizations, once led by figures who had guided their strategies for decades, are now grappling with a void at the top. How they choose to fill that void, who will rise to power, and what their agendas will be, are questions that will define the region for years to come. The world is watching, waiting to see if this will be a turning point, a moment where dialogue replaces violence. Or will it be the start of a new, even more volatile chapter in the seemingly endless conflict? Stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.